Ever wondered what kind of birds could possibly survive in a land where the sun feels like it's only 10 feet away? Welcome to Sudan, where the desert burns, the Nile breathes life, and every feather tells a story of survival. Out here, birds don't just live, they endure. The Secretarybird kicks snakes like it's a martial artist in a wildlife movie. The Somali ostrich struts through the sand with blue skin that looks almost unreal. And the Abyssinian roller? It doesn't fly, it performs, painting the sky in neon blues and greens. But here's the twist. These survivors aren't just tough, they're beautiful beyond belief. Their colors glow against barren dunes. Their songs echo through forgotten ruins. And somehow, they've turned one of Earth's harshest places into a paradise for wings. So the question is, how do these birds defy extinction while others fade away? Stay with me as we explore 17 stunning species of Sudan, each one rewriting the rules of survival, one wing beat at a time. Ever seen a bird that looks like it woke up and said, "I'm going to be a raptor, but make it fashion"? Meet the Secretarybird, the strangest, boldest, and maybe sassiest hunter in all of Africa. Picture this: long stork-like legs, an eagle's head, and eyelashes that would make a Hollywood actress jealous. Yeah, this bird walks like it's on a runway, but every step is a death sentence for snakes. Now here's what blows my mind. Instead of flying to hunt, the Secretarybird walks. Not struts, not strolls. Stomps. It can march up to 20 miles a day across the savannah, looking for trouble. And when it finds a snake, boom! It kicks with lightning speed, strong enough to crack a skull or break a spine. Scientists measure that strike, up to 5 times its own body weight. That's like you crushing a soda can by flicking your toe. But here's the part that gets me. This bird hunts venomous snakes, cobras, adders, even mambas, and does it with zero fear. No anti-venom, no hesitation, just pure confidence. It even uses its wings like a matador's cape, distracting the snake before that killer kick lands. Tell me that's not the wildest MMA fight nature ever produced. And get this, it's endangered. Despite being one of Africa's most iconic raptors, habitat loss and poisoning have wiped out much of its range. Imagine, one of Earth's most stylish assassins, fighting extinction because we took away its runway, the open grasslands. Kind of ironic, right? Humanity versus a bird that's literally walking itself to survival. So here's what I want to know. If evolution gave this bird legs instead of claws, and it still became a top predator, maybe power isn't about flying higher, but standing taller. Would you rather soar like an eagle, or walk the earth like a snake-kicking legend? Be honest. Which one do you think lasts longer? Yeah, that's what I thought. You ever meet someone who looks calm and serious, but deep down, they're a total drama queen? That's the dark-chanting goshawk. Sleek gray suit, red legs, eyes like a laser pointer, and a voice that doesn't whisper, it chants. Literally, that's how it got the name. This bird is like the poet-warrior of the African savanna. It doesn't rush, it waits, perched on a lonely acacia, perfectly still, like a sniper in meditation. Then, when the time's right, swoosh, it dives like a silent bullet. And whatever's underneath, lizard, bird, snake, mouse, doesn't even have time to say, "Oh no." Here's the cool twist. Unlike most hawks, this one talks a lot. Its call sounds like a rhythmic chant echoing across the hot plains. Wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. Some locals believe it's a messenger of balance, half peace, half warning. When you hear that chant, it could mean rain or death for something small and unlucky. Fun fact, the male actually performs a singing flight during courtship. He circles in the air, chanting proudly while the female watches from below. Imagine proposing to your crush while doing aerial acrobatics and singing at the same time. No pressure, right? But here's the debate. This hawk's calm confidence often gets overlooked. It's not flashy like an eagle or brutal like a falcon, yet it's one of the savanna's most efficient hunters. It even teams up with mongooses sometimes. Yes, teams up, following them to catch prey flushed from the grass. Who says predators can't network? Now here's the sad part. Its open hunting grounds are shrinking. Urban sprawl, deforestation, overgrazing, all pushing the chanting goshawk further from the skies it once ruled. You stop hearing its song, and suddenly the plains feel a little quieter. So tell me, in a world full of loud predators, do you think quiet power still wins? Or are the ones who sing softly the first to disappear? I don't know about you, but I'd rather keep that voice echoing a little longer. Ever seen a bird glide so smoothly it looks like it's painting the wind? That's the pallid harrier, the ghost of the grasslands. Slim, pale, graceful. It doesn't fly, it floats. 1 second it's there, silver against the sun. the next gone like a mirage in the heat. Now here's the strange part. This bird looks fragile. You'd think a strong gust of wind could knock it off course. But nope, it's a hardcore traveler, migrating from the icy steppes of Central Asia all the way down to Africa. Thousands of miles, no GPS, no backup plan. Just instinct and those incredible wings. That's like you jogging from Alaska to Kenya without getting lost. And when it hunts, pure elegance. It flies low, barely above the ground, scanning for a twitch, a mouse, a lizard, even a careless sparrow. Then in a split second, strike. Silent, fast, merciless. No scream, no struggle, just nature doing its job with surgical precision. Here's a fun fact. The male pallid harrier is almost all silver white, with yellow eyes that seem to glow in the dusk. Some tribes once called it the moon shadow, believing it guided spirits through the night. Pretty poetic for a bird that's actually a full-time assassin. But the truth's getting darker. This harrier is near threatened. Its grasslands are being plowed, poisoned, or paved over. And when that happens, it loses more than just hunting grounds. It loses its identity. A bird built for endless space, trapped in shrinking fragments of land. Here's a thought. We always admire freedom, right? But what happens when freedom needs somewhere to land? No fields, no life, no harrier. So tell me, would you rather be a grounded survivor or a free spirit with nowhere to go? Because this bird, it keeps flying anyway. Maybe that's what faith looks like, even when the horizon keeps disappearing. You ever hear a sound that just feels like Africa? That long, echoing call that cuts through the morning air, half scream, half song? Yeah, that's the African fish eagle. If Africa had a national soundtrack, this bird would be the opening track. You've seen it before. White head, chestnut body, black wings. The bald eagle's African cousin, only louder, bolder, and way more dramatic. It perches high above the river, chest puffed, eyes locked on the water like it owns the place. Then suddenly, splash! It dives with pinpoint accuracy, talons first, hauling up a fish so cleanly, it barely leaves a ripple. Talk about style. Here's the fun part. It doesn't even eat everything it catches. Sometimes it steals fish from other birds, like ospreys or herons. Mid-air. Imagine being that confident. Nice fish. Mine now, even the crocodiles know better than to mess with it. But this bird isn't just about power. It's about presence. Its voice can travel miles, echoing across the Nile or over Lake Nubia. Fishermen call it the spirit of the river. When you hear it, it's like nature's alarm clock saying, life's still wild here. Here's a twist you probably didn't know. The African fish eagle actually mates for life. Yeah, one partner, forever. They build massive nests together, year after year, sometimes so big they can break branches of the tree they sit on. Romantic and mildly destructive. But what happens when the waters dry up? Climate change, pollution, and dams are cutting off fish populations, the very thing this eagle depends on. And when the rivers go silent, so does its song. So here's the question. If the voice of the wild disappears, do we even notice, or have we tuned it out already? Would you trade that freedom-filled scream for silence, just for more progress? Because the fish eagle's cry, it reminds us what real freedom sounds like. And maybe, just maybe, that's worth keeping. Ever met a bird that treats the entire planet like its backyard? That's the osprey, the ultimate frequent flyer of the animal kingdom. This bird doesn't believe in borders. From Canada to Sudan, from icy fjords to desert lakes, it's everywhere. If there's water and fish, it's home. Now don't confuse it with your average eagle. The osprey is a specialist, a fish hunting machine built by evolution. It's got curved talons like fish hooks and feet that grip slippery scales better than any raptor alive. It dives feet first from up to 100 feet high, hits the water like a missile, and somehow flies out again with dinner in its claws. And the coolest part? It actually rotates its toes. Yeah, rotates. To carry fish head first for less wind resistance. Nature's aerodynamic genius at work. But here's where it gets even wilder. Some of the ospreys you see in Sudan, they might have come all the way from Scandinavia. That's nearly 7,000 kilometers, over deserts, storms, and oceans, just to grab a winter snack. Makes your daily commute look easy, huh? And it's not just the distance. They migrate solo, guided only by instinct and the stars. No flocks, no maps, no Wi-Fi. Just faith in the wind. Now here's the fun fact with a twist. People once thought ospreys hypnotized fish with their eyes. Ancient sailors swore that when an osprey stared down into the water, the fish froze in fear. Science says it's false, but admit it, it feels true, right? Still, there's a lesson in this traveler's story. The osprey is one of the few raptors that's rebounded from near extinction. After decades of poisoning and habitat loss, humans actually fixed part of the problem. Cleaned rivers, banned DDT, and gave it back to skies. And guess what? It came back stronger. So maybe that's the debate today. If a bird can cross oceans and survive humanity's mistakes, can we learn to fix what we break too? Or maybe we just need to look up once in a while and take notes from the bird that never stops coming home. So tell me, what's taller than you, faster than your car in a school zone, and somehow still can't fly? Yep, the Somali ostrich. Nature's most confused athlete. It's basically a dinosaur that decided, hey, who needs wings when I've got legs like a racehorse? This bird is huge, almost 3 meters tall, up to 150 kilos, and when it runs, it flies across the ground. Seriously, it can hit 70 kilometers per hour. You blink, it's gone. If Usain Bolt had feathers, he'd still lose. But here's the fun part. This isn't your average ostrich. The Somali ostrich is rare, found mostly in the Horn of Africa and eastern Sudan. Look closely. The males have this strange bluish-gray neck, almost glowing under the sun. In the desert light, it looks alien, like something from a sci-fi movie. Even locals call it the blue ghost of the dunes. Now, what's it like living out there in 45 degrees Celsius heat with barely a drop of water? Well, this bird has mastered minimalism. It barely drinks at all. Its body pulls water from the plants it eats. Desert shrubs, dry seeds, even roots. No water bottle, no problem. And talk about parenting goals. The males actually sit on the eggs at night, taking turns with the females to keep them safe from predators. Imagine a 9-foot-tall dad trying to hide in the dark. Not exactly stealth mode, right? But it works. Here's the twist. It's endangered. Not because of predators, but people. Hunting, egg collection, habitat loss. They're all pushing this desert giant closer to extinction. A bird that survived lions and droughts might not survive us. So let me ask you this. If the largest bird on Earth can vanish quietly into the sand, what chance do the smaller ones have? Do we only start caring when it's already too late? Maybe the real flight we lost is the one that keeps us connected to wild things like this. And who knows? Maybe the ostrich wasn't made to fly because the ground needed its hero too. You think you're tall? Try looking up, way up, at the Goliath heron. This thing isn't just a bird. It's a skyscraper with feathers. Standing over 1.5 meters tall, it's the largest heron on Earth. And it walks the shallows of Sudan's Nile like a patient giant who's got nowhere else to be. Picture it. Early morning mist, water flat as glass. And then this enormous shape glides through, slow, deliberate, like something out of ancient mythology. Even crocodiles give it space. Now here's what's crazy. Despite its size, it's a master of stealth. It can stand frozen for over an hour, neck stretched, eyes locked on the surface. Then, lightning. That spear-like beak shoots down, faster than your camera shutter, and up comes a fish almost as long as your arm. Sometimes it catches fish too big to swallow in one go, and you can literally see it trying to figure out, okay, now what? Fun fact, when it flies, the wingspan is nearly 2.3 meters wide. That's wider than a king-size bed, and the slow, heavy flaps make this deep whoom, whoom sound like a helicopter made of feathers. Locals used to say that if you heard that sound near the river at dawn, it meant the gods were watching. But even a giant can fall. Wetlands across Africa are disappearing, drained for farms, poisoned by runoff, or just drying up. And when the water goes, so does the Goliath. It doesn't migrate. It can't adapt fast enough. It just waits, and the waiting gets longer every year. Here's a thought. We always say survival of the fittest, right? But maybe it's not about strength. Maybe it's about balance. Because the Goliath heron isn't a fighter. It's a listener, a watcher, the quiet patience of nature made visible. So question for you. If the giants of the wild can vanish without a sound, what does that say about us? Are we really the smart species or just the loudest one? Either way, if you ever see this bird in the wild, do yourself a favor. Just stop. Let it remind you how small you really are. Ever heard of a bird that lives by one rule? Never hunt in daylight? That's the black-crowned night heron, the nocturnal ninja of the Nile. While every other bird is flapping around, fighting for breakfast, this one's sleeping under the reeds, waiting for sunset like, wake me when it's dark. When night falls, though, the mask goes on. It moves low, silent, ghost-like, those red eyes scanning the moonlit water. Then, snap, one strike, one meal. Frogs, fish, crustaceans, even the occasional baby duck. No mercy, no drama, just clean efficiency. And here's something wild. This bird isn't elegant like the Goliath or flashy like a kingfisher. It's chunky, short-necked, kind of looks like it borrowed the wrong body. But that's the trick. It's built for stealth. That compact shape means less reflection on the water, less shadow to give it away. Every design choice screams stealth mode engaged. Now, fun fact, it's one of the most widespread herons on Earth. From the Nile to New York, from mangroves to rice fields, it's everywhere. You could be watching city lights on a bridge at midnight, and somewhere beneath you, a night heron is doing its thing, totally unseen. Here's where it gets interesting. They're communal. Hundreds of pairs sometimes nest together in trees over water. At dusk, the air fills with their raspy calls, like a choir of tiny gremlins clocking in for the night shift. Creepy? Maybe, but it's their way of saying, we own the night. Yet even this adaptable hunter isn't untouchable. Pollution, disappearing wetlands, and overfishing are cutting into their midnight buffets. Plastic kills their prey. Lights confuse their instincts. It's like the world got too bright for the bird that was born for darkness. So here's my question. If the night keeps shrinking and the lights keep spreading, where do the creatures of the dark go? Do they fade, or just learn to live among our shadows? Maybe that's the lesson. Not everything powerful shines. Some rule the world quietly, one ripple at a time. You know that one friend who always has to be the center of attention? Loud, flashy, impossible to ignore? Yeah, that's the Abyssinian roller. If color had an attitude, this bird would be pure swagger. Electric blue wings, turquoise chest, golden green crown. It's like someone gave a paintbrush to the sky and said, go crazy. You don't just see this bird, you feel it. It perches on telephone poles or acacia trees, completely still until, bam! It dives with a twist, catches a grasshopper midair, and spins back like it's showing off. And honestly, it kinda is. Because rollers don't just fly, they perform. The name roller comes from their acrobatic flight loops during courtship. Think of it as a midair dance-off to impress their crush. Now here's the fun part. They're actually tough. Despite those bright colors, they survive in some of Africa's harshest savannas and semi-deserts. They perch out in the blazing sun, fearless, just waiting for the next bug to make a bad decision. And unlike most fancy-looking birds, they're fiercely territorial. Even dive-bombing hawks twice their size, style and attitude. But here's the plot twist. That stunning blue isn't pigment at all. It's light physics. The structure of their feathers bends light to reflect that impossible color. Meaning, under the right angle, it can shift from deep sapphire to glowing teal, nature's version of a hologram. So yeah, technically the Abyssinian roller isn't even blue, it's illusion. And yet, people hunt them for their feathers, or capture them for the pet trade, because beautiful never comes without a price. Imagine that, the bird built from light, trapped behind bars. So let me ask you something. Would you still love something if it stopped shining for you? Or do we only protect beauty when it entertains us? Because this bird doesn't care what you think. It's out there, turning sunlight into magic, one roll at a time. If the Abyssinian roller was sky blue fireworks, then the northern carmine bee-eater is pure flame. This bird doesn't just pop out of the landscape, it ignites it. Scarlet red body, turquoise crown, black mask like a superhero. Honestly, if Iron Man had feathers, this would be it. But don't let that beauty fool you. This is one of Africa's boldest, busiest little predators. Its diet? Bees, wasps, hornets. All the stinging stuff that makes you run away. The carmine bee-eater catches them mid-air with insane precision, smacks them against a branch to remove the sting, and gulps them down like a pro. You can almost hear it say, nice try, buddy. Here's the crazy part. They hunt in teams. Dozens line up along riverbanks, taking turns launching into the air like tiny missiles. And when big animals, elephants, antelopes, even humans, walk by, these birds follow because their footsteps stir up insects. So yeah, you're basically their Uber Eats driver. Now here's a scene worth pausing for. Every year during breeding season, hundreds of these bee-eaters gather to dig tunnels into riverbanks, forming pink-red colonies that look like living coral walls. Each pair raises chicks deep inside those sandy burrows, safe from snakes and storms. From above, it looks like the desert itself has caught fire. Fun fact, they're migratory travelers, crossing continents between Sudan, Ethiopia, and the Sahel. And somehow they always come back to the same riverbanks year after year, like they've got Google Maps built into their DNA. But here's where it hurts. Those riverbanks are disappearing fast. Erosion, dams, and human farming destroy the nesting cliffs before they can return. And no cliff means no colony. No colony means silence where there used to be fire. So here's a question for you. When something so small brings this much color into the world, do we owe it protection? Or do we just wait until the sky turns gray to miss the red? Because the carmine bee-eater doesn't care about extinction talk. It just keeps shining, like it knows beauty's job is to remind us what's still worth saving. Ever seen a bird that looks ordinary at first, then turns and suddenly you're blinded by purple lightning? That's the violet-backed starling, a living jewel that decided feathers were too basic, so it went full disco ball instead. From the front, the male looks crisp and white, polite even. But when the sun hits its back, bam! It flashes this metallic violet sheen that shifts like oil on water. It's not pigment, it's physics. Microscopic feather structures, bending light into something our brains can't stop staring at. In short, science's favorite magic trick. And while the male struts his iridescent swagger, the female looks totally different. Brown, streaked, camouflaged, the opposite of flashy. But that's the secret. She guards the nest while he distracts predators with his look at me sparkle show. Teamwork goals, right? Now here's where things get funny. During breeding season, males sing these soft whistling notes, hopping and bowing like they're auditioning for a musical. Sometimes several males perform near the same female, a literal starling talent show. And she just sits there, deciding who shined best. But don't mistake them for shallow birds chasing fashion. They're hardworking parents. They build cup-shaped nests in tree holes, sometimes stealing old woodpecker homes. And when their chicks fledge, both parents take turns feeding them. A true family duet in violet and brown. Here's your twist. Despite their glow-up, they're surprisingly shy. You won't find them strutting in open fields. They prefer quiet woodlands, edge habitats, and river groves. Little pockets of safety away from chaos. But those are exactly the places vanishing the fastest. Deforestation in East Africa, including Sudan, is shrinking their range year by year. No trees, no nesting holes, no violet spark in the sun. So tell me, if the flashiest birds disappear first, does the world just get duller? Or do we stop noticing the color fading? Either way, next time you see something shining for no reason, maybe it's not showing off. Maybe it's just trying to be remembered. You know that one cousin who's always in your family photos? Same moves, same grin, but somehow cooler than you? That's the Ripple's starling to the violet-backed starling. They're cousins, sure, but this one took the glow and turned it up to 11. Its feathers shimmer in deep purple-blue tones that shift with every angle. Sometimes navy, sometimes metallic violet, sometimes pure galaxy. When sunlight hits it just right, it looks like the night sky decided to grow wings. Locals even call it the bird made of stars. And honestly, they're not wrong. Now, while other birds fuss and preen, this one's busy talking. Ripple's starlings are incredible mimics. They can copy whistles, calls, even bits of human sounds. In a village at dawn, you might hear what sounds like a child's whistle, but it's just this bird messing with you. Because yes, it's that kind of prankster. They live in small groups, constantly chattering, constantly moving. Little feathered comedians with high energy and zero respect for personal space. They'll even perch on goats or cattle to eat ticks off their backs, like flying cleaning crews with style. But there's method in their madness. That social behavior makes them strong. If one bird spots danger, the whole flock explodes into the air at once. A glittering burst of violet that confuses predators. Here's a fun fact. Ripple's starling is named after the 19th century German explorer Eduard Rippel, who documented East African wildlife. Funny how a bird from Sudan ends up carrying a European name. Kind of poetic, kind of ironic, because this bird doesn't belong to anyone, it belongs to the sky. But here's the shadow under all that shine. As agriculture expands, their nesting trees and open savannas are vanishing. And while they adapt well, feeding near villages and towns, even they can't outfly the loss of wilderness forever. So here's the question. If nature's most adaptable survivors start living in our cities, is that a victory for them or a warning for us? Because when the bird made of stars starts nesting next to our Wi-Fi towers, you gotta wonder who's really evolving faster. If the Ripple's starling was cosmic and bold, the red-billed firefinch is the opposite. Small, soft, and secretly unstoppable. Tiny as a thumb, glowing scarlet like a live ember. This little bird looks delicate, but it's a survivor in every sense of the word. You've probably walked right past one without noticing. They love staying low, hopping in the dust near huts, riverbanks, or herds of cattle. Then suddenly, when sunlight hits, flash, that deep red lights up like a spark from the desert floor. And just like that, they disappear again. Now here's a funny thing. For a bird that small, it's incredibly bold. Firefinches often live close to people, even nesting inside thatched roofs or wall crevices. You build a house, they move in rent-free. And they're not shy about it either. They'll peck at spilled grain, share water with chickens, or just sit on your fence like, "Hey neighbor, nice yard." But there's drama in that tiny world too. The village indigo bird, a sneaky parasite, lays its eggs in firefinch nests. When the chicks hatch, they mimic the firefinch's begging calls perfectly, tricking the parents into feeding them. Imagine raising someone else's kid because it learned your baby's voice. That's next-level deception. And yet the firefinch doesn't give up. It just rebuilds, renests, and keeps singing those soft, sweet chirps like nothing happened. Fun fact, their pairs are ridiculously affectionate. You'll often see them feeding each other tiny seeds, beak to beak, like a romantic dinner date for two. That bond helps them survive. A reminder that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just loyal. But even this resilient ember faces danger. Pesticides, habitat loss, and declining water sources all threaten their quiet existence. And when the firefinches vanish, it's not dramatic. It's silent, subtle, like a candle going out in daylight. So tell me, if the smallest sparks are what keep the wild alive, why do we only notice the fire when it's gone? Maybe the firefinch's lesson is simple. You don't need size or power to shine, just a heart that refuses to fade. Imagine you're standing in the middle of Sudan's desert, heat shimmering off the sand, not a drop of water in sight. And suddenly you hear a soft whirring sound overhead. That's not the wind. That's the chestnut-bellied sandgrouse, one of nature's most astonishing survivors, and maybe the most selfless parent on Earth. At first glance, it doesn't look like much. A compact, pigeon-sized bird in shades of tan, gold, and chestnut, blending perfectly into the dunes. But don't be fooled. This little desert wanderer is built for miracles. Here's what blows people's minds. Male sandgrouse carry water to their chicks. Yeah, real water, in their feathers. Every morning, the father flies up to 30 kilometers to the nearest pond, soaks his belly feathers, and then races home before the heat evaporates it. By the time he lands, the chicks rush underneath and drink from his plumage. It's like watching a flying canteen with wings. And the science? Each feather on his belly can hold a thin film of water, up to 20 milliliters total. That's enough to keep his babies alive through days of brutal heat. If that's not parental love, what is? The rest of their life is a masterclass in desert adaptation. They feed mostly on dry seeds, flying at dawn and dusk when the air cools. During midday, they disappear, literally, into the sand, resting motionless to escape the sun. Predators walk right past them. But even this desert genius has its limits. Modern agriculture and overgrazing are draining the few oases they depend on. And when the water disappears, so do the sandgrouse. You can't outsmart thirst forever. So here's my question. If a bird can fly for hours every day just to bring water to its young, what excuse do we have for letting deserts grow wider? Who's really the more advanced species here? Us, or the one that carries life in its wings? Maybe in the end, survival isn't about power or intelligence. It's about devotion. And in that department, the sandgrouse wins every single time. You ever see sunlight hit a wheat field and think, that's what happiness looks like? Now imagine that moment turned into a bird. That's the Sudan golden sparrow. It's small, bright, and cheerful, like a sunbeam that decided to grow feathers. At first glance, you might mistake it for an ordinary sparrow, until it turns its head, and bam, you're hit with that molten gold glow. The males shine like polished coins under the desert sun, while the females wear softer yellow tones. Less flash, more grace. Together, they look like a moving shimmer of light skipping across the dunes. But what makes them really fascinating isn't just their color, it's how they live. Golden sparrows are party birds. They gather in massive flocks, sometimes hundreds or even thousands, swirling over savannas and villages in golden clouds. When they land, it's chaos. Chirps, fluttering wings, dust flying, pure desert confetti. You can't help but smile watching them. And despite their joyful vibe, they're tough little survivors. They thrive in the scorching semi-deserts of Sudan and the Sahel, places where most life struggles to hang on. They build grass nests in thorny bushes or even in palm trees, often sharing space with weaver birds. It's not a neighborhood, it's a feathered metropolis. Here's the twist. These flocks aren't just social, they're strategic. In open country, more eyes mean better defense. A hawk dives in, 100 sparrows take off at once, dazzling the sky with gold flashes. Predator loses sight, the flock wins again. But like every bright thing, their glow hides a shadow. Habitat loss and overgrazing are shrinking the scrublands they depend on. And when the rains fail, even the toughest sparrows can't find enough seeds to feed their young. Imagine that, a bird born of sunlight, starving under a clear blue sky. So here's something to think about. If the smallest bursts of joy in nature start fading away, what kind of world are we building? Would you notice if the gold left the sky? Because honestly, this bird doesn't just brighten the desert, it brightens you. You ever hear a sound echo through the savannah? Tuck, 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 tuck. And wonder who's doing construction out here in the middle of nowhere? Yeah, that's not a carpenter. That's the Nubian woodpecker, turning dead trees into drum sets. This little craftsman is one of the most underrated artists in Africa. While everyone's busy watching eagles and ostriches, he's out here sculpting the landscape, one tree at a time. Red crown, spotted chest, and a black mustache that makes him look permanently skeptical, like he's judging your DIY skills. But let's be real. This bird is a genius. Its skull is reinforced like a crash helmet, and its tongue can stretch almost 3 times the length of its beak. It wraps around the back of the head inside the skull. Yep, that's real. So it can flick out and grab hidden insects from deep crevices. And it does this thousands of times a day without ever getting a headache. Try banging your head against a wall 20 times a second and see how you feel. What's cooler? That drumming sound you hear, it's not just for food, it's communication. Woodpeckers drum to attract mates, mark territory, or send warnings. Each rhythm is different, like nature's version of Morse code. So technically, they were making beats long before humans invented music. Here's the twist. Even in their hard-headed glory, these birds are sensitive souls. They rely on old trees, the ones with soft, hollow wood perfect for nesting. But guess what's disappearing fastest? Those very trees. When we clear them for farmland or firewood, the woodpecker loses its home, and the forest loses its heartbeat. Fun fact, Nubian woodpeckers often move alongside other insect-eating birds, like rollers or hornbills, forming loose alliances. Each species hunts differently, so nobody steps on anyone's turf. It's teamwork, wild style. So here's the thought. If even a woodpecker knows how to keep the rhythm of the ecosystem, why can't we? Why are we so good at cutting trees and so bad at listening to their music? Maybe the forest isn't silent. Maybe we just stopped keeping time. Ever seen a bird that looks like it's wearing a tuxedo and yelling at everyone to get off its lawn? That's the black-headed lapwing. Equal parts elegance and attitude. Jet black crown, white face, gray wings trimmed in black. It's like the desert showed up to a wedding. But don't let the classy look fool you. This bird's a loud, fearless guardian of the wetlands, and it takes its job seriously. You'll find them strutting near the edges of Sudan's rivers and floodplains, standing tall on long yellow legs, scanning for danger. They move with this confident little swagger, part soldier, part stand-up comedian, and the moment anything gets too close to their nest, all bets are off. They scream, dive, fake injuries, and even chase off animals 10 times their size, from jackals to humans. Talk about punching above your weight class. Here's the cool twist. Their fake injury act is Oscar-worthy. A lapwing will limp and drag one wing, pretending to be hurt, luring predators away from the nest, then suddenly take off at full speed once the coast's clear. It's pure theater, and it works every time. But the fun doesn't stop there. Lapwings are also part of the wetland cleanup crew. They pick insects, worms, and snails from the mud, keeping the ecosystem balanced, one peck at a time. Without them, those fertile riverbanks would choke under pests. Fun fact, these birds often nest right on open ground. No trees, no camouflage, just guts and vigilance. Both parents share duties, guarding eggs like tiny security guards in tuxedos. They even stand shoulder to shoulder during thunderstorms, shielding the chicks from wind and rain. Tiny, loud, heroic. You've got to respect that. But their wetlands are shrinking fast, drained, farmed, and paved over. When the water's gone, their world collapses, and silence replaces the lapwing's alarm calls. A silence that feels heavier than noise ever could. So here's the question. In a world obsessed with strength and dominance, do we underestimate the power of protection? Maybe real courage isn't in attack. It's in standing guard for what can't defend itself. Because when the lapwing falls silent, so does the warning that nature's balance is breaking. So, after all that, what do you think? 17 birds, each one stranger, braver, and more beautiful than the last. Surviving in one of the harshest landscapes on Earth. The Secretarybird kicking snakes into history. The fish eagle singing freedom over the Nile. The sand grouse carrying water for its chicks like a winged hero. It's wild, right? Every one of them has turned the impossible into normal life. But here's the twist. Their world isn't guaranteed. The same deserts that forged them are shrinking under our hands. Wetlands fade, grasslands vanish, and voices that once filled the air are falling silent. And yet, Sudan's skies are still alive, if you look up. Maybe that's the real story here. Not just birds surviving in the wild, but birds reminding us how to stay wild inside, how to adapt, protect, and keep the music going, even when the world gets louder and harder. So tell me, which of these 17 survivors stole your heart? Drop it in the comments. And maybe, just maybe, next time you hear a bird outside your window, you'll hear Sudan call